Hello, I'm Steve.
And I'm Christy.
Steve and Christy Daugherty, which happened for the first time 21 years ago today. It's our anniversary.
Hey, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Our marriage is old enough to legally buy booze now. Anyway,
I don't think that's a thing, but
we thought we'd take a second after being married for 21 years. That qualifies us as experts in pretty much everything that has to do with relationships. So we thought we'd talk about something that has been an enduring metaphor for me for a couple of reasons, but it's also been a metaphor that has changed or become more nuanced over the last couple of decades. And it's the unity candle, which this really isn't one. I didn't put a lot of work into props. But for the uninitiated, the unity candle during a wedding ceremony is really simple. There's two pre-lit outside candles that represent both the individual flames or the individual lives up to that point. And then sometime during the ceremony, you take the individual candles and you light the unity candle, which is it gets done a lot. It's maybe even a cliche, but cliches can still be really beautiful. And I love the imagery of that. But what I realized very early on, we realized and talked about, was that the second part of that ceremony is just as, if not more, important to the success of the relationship. And that's when you blow out your own individual candle. And for me, that was a really challenging thing to recognize, the beauty of the unity candle, but then the difficult, like the discipline involved in the imagery of blowing out the individual candle. And I've used, I actually talk through that now that I officiate weddings. If the couple does the unity candle as part of their ceremony, I'll often talk through the different parts. You know, the unity candle is the beautiful look, two are becoming one, but then there's also the discipline of blowing out the individual candle. But over time, it's that second thing that, I don't know, comes with a caution, an asterisk. How would you put it?
Yeah, either of those. I think, well, one, we were super young when we got married, and a lot of our views have changed over the years. And so in our early 20s, 23, I think you were a baby, but 22 maybe, just our views of marriage in general changed. But that unity candle, I think somewhere I got the idea that blowing out my candle meant kind of closing the door on who I am as a person. And that I kind of had to, and I don't know that anyone even told me this. I think it's just what I picked up from being a person and maybe even a new believer and kind of observing some other relationships around me that I had to really completely forget about who I am as a person and maybe even what brings me joy and what I get excited about, and put all that energy into you and who we are as a couple. And there's value in that for sure. Who we are as a couple has morphed and changed over the years too, and it's become this really, really cool thing. But I've just really changed over the years of, I don't think that's what that means. You still have your candle over here in so many words, and you can still be who you are. Obviously you do change when you meld in with this other person and kind of hopefully become a better version of yourself with that person. But I didn't have to focus just simply on what made you happy. And that like showed up in lots of different forms. And did that mean that I no longer could focus on a career or like if your job moved us to another state or something like that, it was just kind of well, that's of course what I'm supposed to do. And again, part of that's true. We're a married couple and we support each other and love each other and communicate through all those things and fight for what's right for our family and for us as a couple. but it didn't mean that I had to turn off all of those things.
Yeah, it's almost like there was and I felt it on my side too, is that your role was to disappear and almost disappear behind other responsibilities of being a mother and being a wife and then being the wife of a full-time pastor. And those things may not apply to everybody watching this, but there really is an understanding for a lot of people that in order for a marriage to be successful, you have to sort of disappear so that the third thing, the marriage, the relationship, can get all the attention. And I don't think that's healthy. And it seems to fall on wives more.
Oftentimes.
Yeah, maybe most often. Certainly whoever stays home is at risk of disappearing, of being snuffed out. And it's made to sound noble and spiritual, and maybe it feels that way, but you do have to be careful with that, because when you try to disappear a person, you get bitterness, you get regret, you get tension. You're not actually doing it. So like all things pretended, sooner or later, it's going to blow up in your face.
And I think, when we talk about it that way, if you become a mother and your energy kind of focuses on raising kids, and it was an absolute gift for me
Sure.
to be able to stay home and raise our kids, and a privilege, honestly, to be able to do that. And I never felt otherwise, but I did feel like, I had a career before we had a family and a full-time career, and I did choose to step away from those things, and I'm thankful that I did that. But at the same time, I do over the years know that I thought, well, I'll just kind of dabble in little part-time things, because I can't really give myself to something that I'm passionate about or excited about, because I need to be putting my candle out. That candle was blown out years ago. I need to forget it, move on from it, focus on who we are now as a couple, and how can I make that really, really great, and how can I support that?
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't know at the time, and even the last few years, was that was never really the goal for either of us.
Mm-hmm.
And really the whole time you've supported me in any of the things that I've wanted to do, and I've really had a lot of freedom to do lots of little things and still be a parent that's here and available and flexible.
I remember you saying sometimes years ago, I feel like I lost Christy. Like, where did Christy go? And I didn't do a good job of recognizing, Christy sometimes has to disappear because we're full steam ahead. Just we got this thing lit, and I'm doing my thing, and I'm, this is the way that it has to be. But something particular about who you are got buried underneath a lot of the sense of duty. And I know that happens to a lot of people in relationships. And again, I think we spiritualize it and make it sound like it's 100% healthy, but you really have to be careful with that, because again, it causes bitterness, and it causes a lot of regret and sorrow. And I think, for my part, I was really late seeing it. I think that I probably had to learn the hard way that you should never, and I mean never, demand that your partner blow out their candle. That is not part of the ceremony where you're going and blowing out the other person's candle.
Right.
The discipline, as I see it now, after all these years, I mean, we got married in the 1900s. Think about that. The discipline is not to disappear yourself, or certainly to make the other person disappear. It's to recognize that we have an impulse to self-prioritize, and there's health in doing that. To make sure that you when the plane is going down, you put your mask on first. But to try to pretend to live in that space of self-forgetting for the sake of a thing, which is a relationship, that's what it is, versus giving yourself to the other, and the other giving themselves to you and learning how to do that. That's mutual submission, versus one person being submissive, one person blowing out their candle and then ending up resenting the other person 10 years later. Mutual submission, which is what Paul talked about in Ephesians, that is a different discipline. That's blowing out your candle, her blowing out her candle, and saying, I think it's going to be good if we don't forget ourselves, but suspend that self-preserving impulse above all else. Who's going to take care of me? I'm just going to love you. I'll trust that you'll love me, and we'll figure it out over time. How do we end this? We can't blow this out. That would be. Do you want? All right. So anyway, blow out your own candle. Definitely take care of the unity candle, and be in it for the long haul. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
21 more.